you have to be ecstatic that you were able to get Owen under contract, especially before the season started.
Yeah, it was definitely a priority. With tonight being opening night to get this done, it picked up intensity over the last 48 hours. But we've been working at this since the Combine, I think, is when it first started, where we met with Pat Brisson and CA in person. And like I said before with Rasmus, the key part of this was that we were aligned philosophically. He wanted to be here. It was very clear, and he made it known that he wanted to be here, and he wanted to be here for a long time. And then it's just a matter of how you get that done. But yeah, thrilled to have him. Can't be more excited about it.
I had to ask about 7 years versus 8. Is that just for future business purposes? Or,
Well, you look at everything. It's a good question. Term was really important to us. I've talked a lot about prime years, and he's young. He's entering these prime years, so it was critical for us to get term. And you also look at years down the road where our contracts are structured and when certain contracts are expiring, and so there's some planning that goes into all that. But for us, most comfortable that we were trying to really work towards was that 7-8 year type of discussion, and that's ultimately to get to a deal. There's give and take both sides, so we felt comfortable, he felt comfortable, and obviously that's how we got a deal done.
Are you surprised in this league it's kind of gone this way now? More of for the younger players I'm talking about, they're not going for the 3-year deals. They used to that, well, let me go 3 years, I'll bet on myself and I'll get more money. And you're not seeing that anymore. Are you surprised it's changed like that?
Yeah, it goes both ways, right? Like, I think it's certainly individuals are different with what they're thinking. Some would rather be short, some would rather be long. I think it speaks more in our own situation, I guess, is really all I can speak to, but that the commitment these young guys are making to be here and be here for a long time and believe in what's happening and believe something special is happening. So that's the key piece for me. But also, I think a lot about prime years of guys' career. And if you believe in the people you have in the locker room and you're projecting them to hit certain levels, that they're going to keep getting better and better, then you're in my position, I'm more willing to look at that, especially when you're talking about the key ages that these young guys are signing at. So that's, I guess, what both sides of it gives me comfort.
What was it like?
How unique was the maturity that Owen had last year, coming in as still a teenager and just the hard minutes he played and so forth?
Yeah, incredible. I mean, I think he was he did what he did at his age is pretty remarkable, and the minutes he played, and they weren't sheltered minutes, all the situations in that position at that age. Obviously he has talent. Everybody can see that he has talent, but the maturity he plays with, the calmness, the poise, and he's still getting bigger and stronger, so he's just scratching the surface of what I believe he can do. But when you have defensemen like him that can be out there 25 plus minutes a game in every situation, and then you add, by the way, Rasmus Dahlin and Samuelsson that are young and can eat up huge minutes, I think that's a really good place to start building your team.
What was it like to have that moment with Owen's family last time?
Yeah, it was great. These things come together, and there's emotion and there's ups and downs as you go through negotiations. I was never concerned about the philosophical discussion of, is this where he wants to be? Do we want him? So that part was the easy, but it's never easy getting them done, and there's so to have it finally agreed upon last night and then be able to have his family walk in the office was special. And I said this the other day with Rasmus. There's challenges in this job. There's pressure. There's stress times. You do different. You have to make hard decisions at times. But then times like that, when you can give Owen and his family a hug and just tell him how much we appreciate him and what he does. It's pretty special.
Having 5 guys sign long-term like this, all the prospects that you have coming up, the entry-level deals you have coming, does that really feel like that gives you the flexibility in the future to augment your roster if you need to with external upgrades if a need arises?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because what I've talked about for so long now is identifying your core pieces, and you have to draft well, you have to develop well, and then when you recognize pieces that you believe are going to help you win, you want to get the guys locked up in their prime years for as long as you can. Now, in saying that, you can't do it with everybody, but you have to start somewhere, and we identified these guys as critical pieces. So it's huge for us, and it allows us to plan. Now, from there, there's going to be more decisions to make. As you guys know, there's a number of current players on the team, or what we feel are really top prospects in our system. That's a great thing. We want to have tough decisions. You're putting a puzzle together, you're planning long term, but you also have to look short term and how you can win hockey games now. So, but to have those pillars in place, foundational pieces that are here for a long time is a big help as we plan this out.
Kevin, there's such a search going on for top defensemen. Some teams, like the Leafs, really don't even have one. I mean, you have 2 or 3 you can make that argument that you have now, locked in long term. How much does that take pressure off the entire organization in terms of scouting, drafting, the GM, that you have something that most people spend a lot of time finding, and now you don't have to worry about that and go to something else?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it is tough in this league to play defense as it is. I mean, obviously with Rasmus and Owen being number 1 overall defensemen, picks that are defensemen, you come into the league with a certain pressure and expectations on their shoulders. That's not easy, but when you can get those foundational pieces that we believe are franchise-type defensemen, it just helps you build everything around that. And that's why I felt it was so important to get these guys, be proactive with them, make sure they understood how important they are to us and what we're building here, make sure that we were aligned, that they truly wanted to be here and wanted to be here for the right reasons. And when that matched, to me, then it was like, let's go all in and figure out a way to get this done. And fortunately, I mean, it came down to the wire here, but we were able to do them both before the season started today.
In the wake of the news last night, what does the organizational structure look like now? Are you reporting directly to Terry, or how is that going to work?
For me personally, yeah, I mean, I nothing changes for me personally in terms of reporting structure, and obviously you guys know John's no longer with the organization, but there's a lot of excitement in our organization right now. There's a lot of really good people on the business side that have been doing this a while, that understand what their day-to-day job is, and are aligned. And I sit and talk during days all the time with different members of our organization in different departments, and there's a lot of excitement, and I'm excited about what we have, so it really doesn't change anything day to day.
Kevin, in terms of, you guys were kind of down at the bottom of the league, suspended for a few years when you went so young. What do you think these couple of deals show about just the willingness to spend when it's appropriate? Obviously, a lot of questions pop up when you're down near the bottom of the league and spending now.
Yeah. Well, I've tried to make sure in my conversations over the last couple of years that I've outlined the fact that there's never been an unwillingness to spend from the Pagulas. They've given us every possible resource we could ever have to put a successful team on the ice. What I think the most important thing in my position has been is to put a plan together in place and then be disciplined and stick to the plan and the vision of what we're trying to build. So when we made the decision a couple years ago to obviously change our roster and build with a young core, that was part of it. Now, clearly you're seeing the willingness to spend big dollars and big contracts and commit to these guys, which was the plan all along. So, look, I mean, moving forward, we know that we're going to be a team that is right up against the cap, and you're going to have to manage that in a different way than we've been over the last couple of years. But that's also why you have to be careful making certain decisions, whether it was last year or this summer, that when you're projecting out what we've done here over the last couple of days can change things. So we've had to be really disciplined and intentional with how we build the roster. But there's never been an unwillingness to spend, and that's something that I certainly appreciate from the Pagulas.